What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mental Corner Podcast, the show where I bring on guests from all different backgrounds to talk all the things mental health. Before we get into the episode today, yes, I am not in the studio again. I'm wearing my Muay Thai clothes again. I look all gross. The camera quality's meh. If you're watching this, listen, I've been busy, and I'm okay with being busy because it keeps me occupied. It keeps me on my feet, but I haven't been in the studio that much because I've just been all over the place. So, it's a blessing and a curse. You get to see me in sweaty clothes, but you also don't get to see the studio as often. And that's just the way it is. I will definitely be in the studio a lot more once everything starts to settle down a little bit. The 100th episode's coming up. I got merch on the way. I've got jobs and episodes to bring out to you guys. So it's all over the place right now. So hopefully that settles down a little bit in the near future and then we can get back to normal. So I am, of course, your host, Harry Potvin, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Clay Hodges. Clay is an entrepreneur, a trader, a yogi, and the founder of Ronin Forex Group. He uses his incredible story of multiple overdoses and near-death experiences to help people find freedom in their life by helping them develop healthy mindset and positive work ethic. Clay was such a blast to have on, and I really want to thank him again for coming on and having this discussion with me. Now, before we get into the episode today, guys, you know the drill. If you're listening, please like, comment, share, subscribe, give 5 stars if you're on that podcast platform. Share with someone who might want to hear this episode. It's a really great one, and I can't wait for you to listen. I'll talk to y'all very soon. Have a great rest of your day. Peace. Three, two, one. We are good. Clay, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
What's up, Harry? Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you.
For sure. So this is a question I ask all my guests. It's really broad, but you were mentioning, you have a history of like overdoses and near-death experiences. Where does your journey with mental health kind of start?
Man, I guess everybody, I guess it depends which therapist you went to, because they'd be like, let's talk about your childhood. But I don't know, man. I think, we had a little conversation before this. I think mental health starts as soon as, the ego starts to develop. We get into school, we get into classrooms, we start to get with other people, and our identity really starts to form. For me, mine was like, I didn't really have any traumatic experience as a kid, like that kind of thing. But they measured trauma in so many different ways. So but for me, it all really started, I guess, when I started just using drugs. But the reason I did was because just wanted to fit in, and it's what everybody else did. And, it's like, just kind of there, at least that was my experience. So, and, everything just evolved, and that was never really like obvious until later on when, I was like, obviously I was in, certain degree, a layer of denial about what was going on. That's super thick. And until I wanted to start to change things and examine myself, then, it was clear that there's not so much, a mental problem, but just a problem, something I've been covering, just hiding myself, hiding with all these different, drugs or identities or masks that we wear. And from there, becomes a process of uncovering them. So, but, I would say 14, 15 years old was like, when that all just kind of shifted, and I was just going with the crowd, so to speak, I guess. But, that was my experience. And I think now it's just everybody's given a certain set of criteria to deal with in their life of like, okay, so this is what each person has to go through for their own awakening. And that was the criteria, the cards I was dealt, so to speak. So grateful for them. I got to to a place now to be grateful for them, but that took a long time and is
Yeah,
a daily thing for sure.
yeah, I can imagine. So when you were 14 or 15, like what was it, just like weed, or did you get into heavier stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty standard issue, smoking weed and then like acid and stuff. And but at the time, growing up in Kentucky in the South, here in the United States, it was really the start of when the opiate crisis started. It's still going on for sure. And just pharmaceutical companies over prescribing drugs to people, and they're just everywhere and really just wiped out a big part of our state and population and stuff like that. And so that was like right when I was growing up. So I was exposed to like opiates and oxycontins and those kind of things. When I was like 16.
Mm, mm. And
So
did, as you were like, doing them, and did you ever notice a change in your mentality, like as you were taking them, or were you just kind of in the bubble the whole time?
I mean, I think, I mean, I clearly remember when I first, it's like, man, this is the best feeling ever.
Mm,
So, I mean, it was not, a change in my mentality, and uh, that was kind of it. I think there's a shift there, and already had a predisposed disposition towards those things, towards those substances and behavior and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, the mental aspect and stuff is underneath all that is a lot of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, negative self-talk, and that's really what's fueling the compulsive behavior for most people. Whether that led me down the road of just self-destruction, and because like you do something to try to feel better, and then that just like compounds itself. You have to do more to feel better, and you just get locked into the cycle, and over time you lose yourself in the process. So whether that's like overeating or getting in abusive relationships over and over and over again, or man, whatever it is, drinking, obviously, porn, like dude, the whole, anybody can use, like scrolling, swiping. There's so many things that we have that just like an addictive thing that's going on in our culture, that that it's hard to realize that we're losing ourselves in the process. But for something like opiate and addiction, underneath that was just like me. There's two things going on there. One, depression, anxiety, but two, a longing within myself to know that I can do more. I can do more with my life. Like I was meant for more. I have a bigger purpose. But like you get disconnected with that purpose, and it's just like, it really hurts. For most people today, they lack any purpose in their lives. They're like, man, this can't be it. I have a couple kids. I'm just trying to, make ends meet every month, going to a job I hate and get no fulfillment from. There's got to be more than this. And, that's a tough place to be. So whether it's like, like a kid that's 17 years old, just trying to like, man, I don't really know. I don't feel right. I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. Or somebody's like, 38, and they just have like the pressure of day-to-day life. They just don't feel okay with themselves. And of course they're going to check out and find whatever vice it is and not get to that root problem underneath. That's like, for me, just like a realization that, we're meant for more. I was made to do more. I can do more. Why don't I just do it? What's holding me back? What would it hurt if I just kind of went for it? And like, what are my dreams? Like what really gets me up in the morning? What like inspires me? What gives me like goosebumps if I, watch a film? I used to watch a ton of movies back in the day and just feel super inspired. And, everybody has that experience, what is that inspiration there? It's something inside of us that knows that, like, man, I could do that. But, then there's that other, there's a voice in your head that's like, dude, no, you can't. Right. That's insane. Like, don't stop joking yourself. This happened and you have this baggage or this and that. And then it just back into that same old rut. Next thing you know, another couple years has gone by and you're more overweight. You're still not where you want to be, or even more in debt. And, for me though, the blessing of the gratitude aspect is like, I got to a place where the dope was killing me literally. And I was either going to be in prison or, which I was in and out of just jails, getting picked up, like possession charges, that kind of thing, DUIs. So it was heading bad in like all direction fast, or I was going to die. That would have been the best case scenario. I mean, I don't know about being locked up for that long. So, but yeah, so it was one or the other. And then to a point where I had to be like, I can't do this anymore. I got to try something different, like prayer, calling on something, but beyond myself to come in and help to fix my problems and situations. Not like, saying a mantra in the mirror, things are going to get fixed for you, but just like a willingness and open-mindedness to do something different, and just like being honest, like, and this shit's messed up. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, and it's not them that's the problem. It's me. It's never them that's the problem. Like, it ain't them, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah.
Like, one thing that's helped free me from that, and still has today, is like taking full on responsibility for every single thing that happens in my life. Sure, there's some stuff that happened to me back in the day or whatever that, like, I could blame other people on and still be living in that victim mindset today, but there's no freedom in that. Me taking responsibility, be like, all right, well, man, that sucked, but what can I do from here on out to create a life that is full of purpose and can be service driven, help other people, uncover all this BS that's been, just accumulating around me, which is thoughts, patterns of behavior, just these loops that we get in. It's just like accumulated stuff and just like wrapped us up, right? So I mean, you can think of, like, you ever see the like picture of like a yogi or somebody meditating, and they're like there for so long, you see the ants come up and they're just like eventually covered by an anthill. They build an anthill on top of them. That's kind of how we are with all our stuff, though. For the most people, I think about everybody is, whether it's whatever life event, whatever self-defeating behavior, whatever negative self-talk, if you don't try to actively every single day, you got to do it every single day. If you don't try to just uncover that stuff up, before you know it, you're going to be buried. And I was buried for sure. There's definitely a lot of grace that came in, a lot of just like, just by all means I should be here because I am, but I don't, me getting on here and actually talking about this stuff, because I didn't for a while I was building my business and stuff. I realized, like, somebody's out there that's struggling right now. The reason that, we get delivered from these situations is so we can help other people. We're here to make the community better. We're not here to police each other. We're not here to be us versus them. We're here to lift everybody up so we can just raise the whole consciousness and vibration of everything as a whole. It's really difficult to do right now, but this is the criteria we've been given. So, like, we have to make, I guess, extra effort on our parts. But once you start to do that, things start to attract and things get better. But it's like a daily grind of, it's not really a grind. I mean, it's like, of course I'm going to go to the gym. Of course I'm going to eat right most of the time. Of course I'm going to, like, just try to get to know myself and get to know the people around me, like, on a deeper level than, whatever, talking about the weather or like office reruns or whatever that is on Netflix or whatever the kids are doing these days. I don't even know. I'm just like so disconnected because I'm like learning and growing as an entrepreneur and just like keeping my days stacked, always trying to be the best version of myself. And that's what it takes because I know how fast everybody listening knows how fast that you start to slide backwards. And building momentum is very hard to do. It's can be super hard to keep it as well if you don't actively try to keep it.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. And I've found myself slipping a numerous amount of times throughout this whole thing. I wanted to go back when you were talking about like the anthill and how people can get submerged with what they're dealing with so quickly without even realizing it. For you, on that topic, when you finally sat down and decided, like, I need to, I need to do recovery because, like, what the hell am I doing right now? Like, there's more to life than the drugs and all of that. How hard was it for you personally to push your ego to the side to start this recovery? And then when you were finally like able to, what worked for you in terms of starting?
Right. I mean, like I had, well, so many different things, but real like bottom for me at the time was like I got. It's kind of a long story, but this girl that I'd been seeing that I thought I was in love with had like cheated on me. I don't say that in like a victim way, but it's just what happened. And then like got jumped by somebody she was associated with outside this bar and like assaulted and stuff. My nose broken. And so anyways, if I needed to look and examine what was going on, dude, I had a broken nose, like, the raccoon eyes like that,
Mm,
where like two black eyes like that. So like, um, my denial, don't get me wrong, was still very strong. And, especially once things, you hit a bottom, you're like, I'll do anything. And then things start to get better. And you're like, I'll just keep doing what I was doing.
yep.
Anything sounds like a lot of work. So the gift of desperation, as it's called. So, that's what I had. But yeah, so I had previously worked at a rehab center. I was actually teaching yoga. And so, but like I had relapsed and things turned bad. And I called the dude who like ran the place and owned the place and was like, oh man, dude, I need some help. Kind of, I didn't even really tell him what happened because he gets that call every day from multiple people, and he's like, all right, well, it's I gotta tell you, Clay, it's time to get honest. And I was like, yeah, I know, man. I've already talked to my dad. They know what's going on. He's like, no. It's time to get honest with yourself, man. And that like clearly is like messed up and delusional as I was at the time, and sick, just dope sick, the worst sickness. Yeah, I mean, you can't imagine unless you've been through it, like, but it's just living in that cycle of it for like years. And it just like cut right through that, and like it hit me so hard. And I was like, damn, man, you're right. So like that was a big catalyst. And I was living in Colorado at the time, and I just packed my stuff up in my truck and like which wasn't much, and was gone later that day, and just started driving, man. And so and then second part of the question, what do I do? But anyways, that's where I was. That was like the big thing. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there. I tend to do that.
No, I love tangents. You're good, man. I was just
Okay.
asking. I was just asking. Like, you already mentioned it. Like, when did that ego kind of get pushed to the side? Like, how hard was it? And like, yeah, no. Sometimes it just takes that one statement or question from someone you're talking to that just sobers you right up. And I say sober, like in your case, it was with the drugs. But even if it's like you're in a dangerous cycle of denial in terms of mental health or anything, like sometimes that quote unquote sobers you up. Like for me, it was personally, it was just me sitting down going like, what the fuck am I doing? And that question to myself completely just got me out of the brain fog for a second and made me go, what am I doing? Like, really? Like, why am I in this cycle? it's interesting how little of an action can cause such a big reaction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have what's going on every single day, and especially now in this like land of like deception and half truths, and nobody really knows for sure what's going on or trust anything. Um, but every now and then, that one, somebody will say, like you said, just a fundamental truth, a universal truth, what a principle. Like principles are absolute truths. When you hear that absolute truth, it resonates within us to a deeper version of ourselves, which is just truth. Everything is just truth, the truth of what's going on. And the journey I'm talking about is just really trying to get to the bottom and find whatever truth is in our own life, which is our truest version of ourselves. So when somebody like strikes a chord and it taps into that, it'll wake you up for sure, no matter what, whether it's, now the thing is like, how fast do we try to drown that out again with the same compulsive behaviors, with the same depression, with the same negative self-talk, with the same whatever it is, because we get hit with those truths every single day. It's called our conscience. It's talking to us 24/7. And the journey that I'm on now is really just trying to tap into that as much as possible, because like we intuitively are guided by greater version of ourselves, and whatever you want to call it, and it's a process of tapping into that, where that becomes the loudest voice that you just follow and stay true to, other than like the self-defeating talk, other than our programming. That's the voice that's been there, always has been there, and will be there after we're gone. It's the truth. We have our programming, which is our ego, which is what has been programmed into us based on our experiences, where we grew up, where our parents were, where our teachers were. And so we have this voice, and then we have the truth. And when we tap into the truth, it doesn't matter if you're strung out on dope and whatever. Or what was going on with you? Depression or I don't really know too much of your story.
Yeah, no, it was just a bunch of suppression of emotion, and then which ultimately went to like negative self-talk, depression, suicidal ideation, like just thinking that, because I never opened up about it and there was never discussion about it. So I just thought that it was just me going through this stuff, and then that in turn made me view myself differently and kind of made me hate myself and be afraid of myself, because I would have all these angry outbursts. It's kind of like when you put the tea kettle on the stove, and every now and then you'll hear like a pop as it's getting hotter, because there's little spurts here and there. That's kind of what was going on with me. And for the whole time, I never once thought like anyone else has this. I just thought I have a problem and no one else gets it, and I'm different, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Another fundamental truth that's always rang true with me is we suffer from a condition, which is like a universal condition really, but we suffer from a condition that loses its power in the sunlight of exposure.
Mm.
Loses its power in the sunlight of exposure. But the longer you keep that stuff dark, hidden, tucked away, nobody can know, because they might see who I really am, and that would be horrible, because then they might not love me, is what it's at the core of it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I remember. I don't think I'll ever forget, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, and I'm sure I've mentioned it too many times, but like I will never forget that feeling when I first opened up to someone about wanting to like kill myself, because immediately, like you said, it got into the light of exposure, and it kind of made me go, whoa, like there is a serious problem. Because before it was like, it's little innocent thoughts here and there, I'm not going to do anything about it. And then it got to that point where it was so serious that I opened up, and then it was like, whoa, okay, this is a real thing now.
That's heavy, man, for sure. But then it's like, usually it's like, oh yeah, you think about that too? Yeah, me too sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everybody has that stuff. It's like you know, how fast do we let it swallow us whole?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was just getting swallowed by a pill bottle or syringe or whatever the closest thing I could grab. It was a progression to get there, but like it took a while and a lot, and it's the criteria that we have. But the thing is, now you took that experience, now you're reaching out to other people that might, that one person that listens to this, you're like, damn, dude, these guys get it. It's for me, I did everything in terms of like rehabs, therapists, like it's all helped. But for beyond anything, getting to some sort of place where I found some purpose in my life, where, a reason to wake up in the morning, which when I just got clean was just like going to the gym and feeling like healthy again. And it was very, 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 very hard to do starting out. And then like learning about health, because like, eating right and, different workouts I could do, or that kind of thing. And it takes some time to do that. But the other, I was learning about new things that interested me. For a long time, I had no interest because like I was just I was in a survival mode for like a decade. So like getting to where you can be like, because like we want to learn and we want to expand that true self because we're getting closer and closer by doing that to a truer version of ourselves. But you have to be aware of the mind when it gets in the way, which is from everything from like hitting the snooze button to like eating a pack of whatever Oreos and it's 10 p.m. at night. And you're like, but I just like to dunk it in a little milk and have some ice cream before bed. And like, that voice is like, dude, are you serious? And then the other voice is like, oh yeah, but you don't deserve any better than this. Whatever it is, that, pretty standard. I'm sure most people that listen to this can relate to that discussion in their minds. So yeah, but for me, it was getting tapped into that. Then once I started to feel better physically, and then especially with the workouts and then my diet cleaned up, and then I started to feel better mentally. And then from there, started to seek out different spirituality and yoga and meditation and that kind of thing. And it's become, and it's like still a daily process for sure. But you start to make progress, you don't even realize it. Now, now I'm years down the road, and some days are better than others, big time. But the thing is one thing that I do, and I have like my students and my groups that, that I coach do. And at the end of the day, anybody that's listening to this can do this. And I definitely recommend you do, is two things. One, write a gratitude list morning and night. And two, in the morning, write down your targets for the day. And at night, write down, I call them your victories. And your victories are like taking the dog for a run, eating a salad, or eating healthy that day, spending some time with the kids, getting all your work done, waking up on time, not sleeping in, meditating, doing your laundry, cleaning the house. These are all like victories that happen every single day. But we don't acknowledge when the victories happen. Like, taking care, which those victories are just taking care of ourselves, taking care of our stuff. And then slowly you'll be like, oh, cool. Well, I want to, learn about investing, or I want to learn about Facebook ads, or I want to learn about doing a podcast. So then like, oh, okay. So I did this dude's Facebook ads course and learned about it a little bit today, whatever it is. But then you start to find other things that interest you, and slowly you're actually just like winning. People don't realize that they're winning. You start to really recognize when you're losing, though, when you're like, oh yeah, having those Oreos again, hitting the snooze button again, not going to the gym. I don't like the way I look in the mirror. And that's when you're sliding backwards. And so like the depression, the anxiety, it doesn't just like the drug addiction. It doesn't just like you wake up and, oh God, I have this now. It happens, you slide backwards, and it happens slowly over time. the wins, the, success, the self-esteem, the feeling comfortable in our own skin, that happens each small victory at a time. The devastating losses happen typically, unless it's something, super big or tragic or whatever, which is life, happens one just slipping on ourselves, not keeping the promises we make to ourselves every single day, just a little bit at a time. That's how I think, for me, things got really out of hand with the drugs and alcohol and everything else, was I just lost touch with me altogether. I just didn't know who I was, because I had no relationship with my true self, which most people don't have now, unfortunately. They don't teach it in school. Why would they?
No, I know. It takes people going out and learning it themselves to figure it out.
But it's typically, like I said, it's really not that hard. It starts with moving the most immediate thing that we have, our bodies, and really just pumping the energy up in our bodies, and getting everything moving, and because that's how we were created to be. Everything out there, the whole world, and I'm not talking about like the world of Instagram and Facebook. I'm talking about like the bees, the grass, the like rabbits, the dogs, whatever, birds. They're moving, they're doing their things. They're like, active. 11 hours of Netflix, like 3 days a week, is like not what we were created to do.
No. Yeah, definitely not. And the like overconsumption of media is just not a natural thing either.
Having CNN or whatever, Fox or whatever, just on 24/7 in the background is like, one of the worst things that you could do for yourself.
Yeah, seriously. So actually on that topic, you mentioned off camera that you're like relatively disconnected from everything. What kind of pushed you to get there, and was it hard at all for you to disconnect?
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it still is. Like, I'll indulge in the old Instagram conspiracy scroll every now and then, or whatever, wormhole. But, it's like, it just, realizing that none of that has any application to my day-to-day life. For the most part, none of it's not affecting me. Like the kids have to wear masks at school, or, somebody's shoving a medicine down my throat or whatever, and telling me this is why, and like, without the opportunity to examine the things for myself, and that's an alarm. But the thing is like, day to day, the way I'm going to conduct myself, and my vision for life is bigger than all that stuff. And if I stay tapped in and aligned, things are going to work out, and I'm going to be able to deal with it in the best way possible. Now, that's been like, being able to unplug has been a journey for sure. But in the past couple of years, and what I'm still working on now more recently, is like, the things that keep us sick, and what keeps us from growing, is our identities of ourselves. And I'll make an example of that that's really easy to understand. So like, when that situation with the girlfriend that I had, that I talked about earlier, that just straight got my ass beat in front of this bar in Colorado, and it was like where I lived is like a town of like 7,000 people. So like, for me, everybody out there is in the middle of the street, and like, everybody knew, everybody saw it. I got just so shame and guilt and everything else. And it was tied up to this girl that, I thought I was in love with. And I say thought I was, because I realized, look, in retrospect, I had this idea in my mind of this like relationship, and like, had this idea of like, I'm her boyfriend, she's my girlfriend, this is my relation, this is who I am, because I'm so identified with this relationship. Like, and all of a sudden that was ripped away from me in this horrible way. And I had to be like, who am I? Because the identity that I built was around her, around this, very codependent relationship. Now, then started the downward spiral I was actually working as a fly fishing guide at the time, and I lost my job. And now I had this identification in my head of like, oh, I'm this like fishing guide. I'm like cool because I'm a guide, and like this is what I do on the rivers. And then I lost that, and I'm like, oh man, I don't even know. Like I don't have a job, and like nobody will hire me now. And that was another identification I had to lose. And so all these different identifications, all the way to, man, you could go down the line of whatever, like, and they're really just playing them. That's just playing itself out in a loop in what's going on in society and culture right now on just replay. So many people are just trapped into this, and it's been done in a very orchestrated way of left versus right, conservative versus this, or black or white, or gay or whatever. And this is what I believe, and this is what you believe. So there's nothing. And the thing is if you took that away, people would be forced to re-examine something that they've invested so much of their life into. Now, if what's going on in the background is a 24/7 news cycle, then taking that away, like realizing that this is trying to get you to believe and act and behave in a certain way, coming to that realization can be a tough one, because then it's like, oh my God, I've been lied to. And like, now what do I do? And so, whether you believe that or not, I mean, it's pretty much undeniable at this point. But the thing is like these identifications that I had now, for me, using like, I used to go a bunch of concerts and parties and all that stuff. And that was like the culture I was a part of. Right. So then once I like couldn't do that anymore, one, when I was sober, and two, like I couldn't do it when I wasn't, because like I would just get too messed up, or like something bad would always happen. It's just like, it was just like not, man, it was the universe just telling me over and over and over, you got to stop this. You got to stop this. Like, so, but breaking that identification of like, and don't get me wrong, some of the music and stuff at the time I still love, but like, that's not who I am anymore. At the time, I was like, that's who I was. I was, this person that followed this band around, and like, I had all these friends that were part of this culture, and, losing that. And it's been hard. Like actually, the band I was talking about came through Nashville, like, 3-4 months or 2 months ago. I don't know, time goes by so fast, but 2 months ago, and I had tickets, and I decided last minute not to go. And for me, that was like actually a huge win, and like all my friends that like I grew up with were all there, and like I thought they were going to be like, hey dude, where you at? But only one of them was like, hey man, we're in the parking lot, pregame, and you want to come down. That was it. So like nobody really cared. They were so wrapped up in their own drama and their own identification with how much they love this experience that, they don't care about anything else. It's actually kind of selfish, like, in a way. And I was the most selfish, because I was just like caught in this cycle of all these different identifications that like ultimately just brought me pain and a disconnection with true life itself that, I become connected with now through service and being able to tell my story to other people and be like, dude, man, you thought about killing yourself too? I've done it too, man. Isn't that fucking insane? God. It's like, but it's all right. You can actually get out of this, and it's not as drastic as you think, because I've been there too. And that is what we're really here for. So like I said, I still love, seeing going to a show and having fun, but things have changed now. And like, the only thing I'm truly identified with is my connection to, God and the universe, and, my deeper version of myself, and trying to really identify with that, because that is, that truth, that universal truth that's in all of us, that we can connect to if we really start to like polish off the mirror, so to speak, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry,
for sure.
that was a long, deep answer, and with a lot of twists and turns along the way.
No, that's my favorite kind of conversation, man.
Yeah, for sure, I can tell. So
You're
that's
good. But
good. Yeah.
so you have all these identities and all these different ways that you think that you identify with, like the fishing and the girlfriend and the partying. When did you first finally see who you really were, aside from all those identifications?
Um, Man, I think we get shown that every day, but like for me, it's in the you take the substances away. That's my experience. You take whatever stimulus away, and you're forced to look at it anyways. Like, and I had to go to a detox center because I was, multiple times because I was so far gone. And I say multiple times, it's worth saying that too, because like I went back there because that's the comfortable place to be. So like if somebody, because like, and I think it's important that I point that out, because like, some people would be like, oh, okay, damn, I just had to keep going back and I don't have anything in common with this guy or whatever. But the thing is like, whatever somebody else is going through, if it's just, you listen to this because you're going through some depression or something, making a couple days of progress, going to the gym or just getting some sunlight, which for me, I remember when that was a big deal. Walking my dog around the block for 15 minutes and actually getting out in the sun, because I was so terrified to go outside. Like that is where I lived for a long time. Like, dude, it was so bad. I like had this as a different place I lived, but I was just kind of making so you can see what it was like. There's this old lady that lived across the street. I'm talking, she was like 85, 86. And it seemed like, I was just like, didn't want to talk and like, didn't want to connect. And like every time I'd like want to go outside or felt, like to do something, I'd look out and I'd like be peeking through the blinds and stuff, like, a tweaker. And like there she was, like just going to the mailbox. I mean, I think she went to the mailbox like 12 times a day. It's like every time she's like, hey, Clay's thinking about, getting out into the world. I'm time to check the mail. That dude, that was like, so that was a whole different thing. But like I had to get like I tell that little story because like I get, wherever somebody else is at, I've been there, and like getting to where, man, going to a gym could be just terrifying, right? Like, or going to a yoga class or whatever, even just opening up to your partner, just be like, man, I'd like to try to eat healthier, like, because you'd be afraid what they might say or whatever it is, because you don't like your body. And the truth is you might be obese. Uh, you know, a large percentage of the people are. So, that's okay. It's not okay to just like stay that way when you can do better. I didn't get that. Could you try again? Siri doesn't agree. But yeah, so I mean, like, so for me, it's been a long process, man, but it's not as hard as it seemed. I was just forced to, because like I was killing myself, like just slowly over time. And so like getting to a point where, but the thing is like it became liberating, because then I would like, start to stack some days of sobriety together, right? Just like stacking wins. If somebody does that exercise, I really strongly recommend you do in a journal, stack your victories. And so you can actually see what you're doing every single day and that you actually are winning. If you're trying to improve your life, so you can see it and be like, damn, dude, yeah, you crushed it today. That was awesome. You deserve more, right? You won't think that you deserve more if you don't feel like you're doing anything. But if you see that you're doing anything internally, you'll be like, dude, I deserve to do it, right? So yeah, so I just started stack wins, and like, then like the things would pop up in my mind. Sometimes I'd entertain them, like the negative self-talk, usually like start that was still dominant force, but you can get to where you shift over to that the light side of the force, so to speak, right? The truth. But like, it's uncovering those identifications, and you just see they identified with so much every single day. Like, I like, you like this brand of potato chips or this brand, or like whatever it is, you just get so, maybe you do, but like, you shouldn't have an argument with your spouse or girlfriend about what to buy at the store, like, you gotta let go of that, or else it's just going to continue to dominate your life, and you're going to live in a world of just like us versus them, which is like, really, we're all connected. So, but yeah, it's the identification. So many people are just identified with, oh, this is who I am. It's like, no, like, you may be a certain way or have some beliefs and stuff, but if you're not, the best place to be, man, is, I don't know. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself every day. And that's like the prayer I say in the morning, like multiple times a day, really, like, help me to be the best version of myself today, so I can, help other people and really offer that. If I can just be the best version of me, and that by doing that, it's going to just have me doing the next right thing. It's just, then it's like doing the next right thing, because like, and our conscious is telling us what that is and what we need to do. And that voice grows louder over time, but just making that your goal, to just be your best version of yourself today, that's all you got, is a great place to start. And we'll just really start to make that your goal, and you can just start going, even when you start to drift, or the self-defeating talk comes in, you can drift back to that. Oh, hey, where do I really want to be? So yeah, the identifications are rough, man. Very deceiving, and they're just so nice to indulge in too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it definitely, because for most people, it gives them like a sense of purpose.
Yeah, purpose, power, like, I'm right, you're wrong, whatever. Like, it's like it's some superiority or whatever it is, but nobody knows what the hell's going on, dude. Like, we're lucky to wake up in the morning, and we think we know how things should be, but like, we're spinning on this thing they tell us, and it's hurtling through space, and you get in your car and you're like, oh man, let's just make it to the grocery store. Nobody thinks like, let's hope nobody just runs into the side of me today, just because of things just like aligned that way, and that's what ends up happening. Nobody knows what's going on, man. It's better to just be like, I don't know, I need to be the best version of myself every day, and this is how I do it. Health, fitness, diet, spirituality, and then try to get my finances right. That's all you can really control.
Yeah.
And that's it in a nutshell, dude. Like, it sounds so simple, but then there's like so many different, like, little paths along the way to get lost on that, like journey that we're all on. But that's how we're gonna become that better version of ourselves. At least that's been my experience, but we all have different stuff we've been through. And I'm not discounting that at all, too, by the way. But like, it's our responsibility to deal with it. And the more you deal with it, the better you're going to feel.
Yeah, for sure. Now, for people who may be listening, who maybe not until this point, they're like, oh, shoot, maybe I am down a path off of the path that I've been going on. Like, maybe I am taking a step back in recovery, or like self-help, or anything like that. What would you say to them if you were in a room with them to kind of get them back on track?
Well, first thing is, it's all right. It's okay. Like, I've done it. It's a part of the journey, for sure. I do it. Like, nobody's just like, perfect, done. We're good here, all wrapped up. It just doesn't work that way. So living in a place where you just keep continually kicking yourself while you're down is not the best way to be, and like, it doesn't serve anybody else, including us, to keep doing that. And blaming other people, the faster you can get out of that, the better living. And, you know, it's easy to live in a victim mindset. You know, we don't even know we're doing it. You can blame other people, blame, you know, situations, blame the government, blame the people that, you know, have a different identification than you do, right? Everybody has their identifications. It's easy to just point the finger rather than just like look at ourselves and like, man, what do I really think? Like, you know, so the best thing to do is be like, man, it's all right. Step one, now what can I do to make it better?
I love it,
And
man.
yeah, and the easiest thing to do, man, is uh just you could do like 50 burpees and you'd stop thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, try it. Nobody wants to do that, right? But like, I guarantee whatever you're wrapped up in your head is, that would go away. That's just an example where, you know, you could go for a run, do whatever, and then be like, reset button, where do I begin again? And, you know, it's okay. Shit just got crazy for a second. Let's get back in alignment.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, I completely agree. If there's a listener out there who kind of wants to maybe learn more about you or follow you or kind of reach out to you, like where can my listeners find you?
Yeah. So just Instagram's the best, easiest place to do it. And that's where you learn about, you know, all the stuff I have going on. It's at clay.b as in boy .hodges.
I love it, man.
You can connect.
Sorry, no,
Yeah,
you go.
connect with me there. No, yeah, I just want to invite anybody that's like, dude, I heard you on Harry's podcast. I thought it was great. And reach out to me, right? I'm not a therapist, that's for sure. But feel free to hit me up because I know a lot of people will listen and see what I have going on or maybe not want to bother. It's not like that, dude. I live in a way that's like, you know, I want to help other people. So that's the best place to get connected just right off the bat. Yeah. And yeah, it'd be great, man. You know, like I said, like, it's okay wherever you're at. I've been there. And if I haven't been there, I've been something similar or worse for sure. So like whatever you're going through is like, if it's or been through, just, and I keep going back to that because knowing that this is a mental health podcast, you know, it's okay that you're going through that. You have opportunity now today to turn the corner. I like to say, you know, we've been just continually getting used to making less. You know, we're in a roundabout of our thoughts most of the time. As soon as you start to take a right, then you start to chart a new course. And you know, you can take a right now for sure.
I love it, man. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I'll put that link down below. Clay, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been a blast.
Yeah, thanks, man. Keep me posted, and I'd love to you know, come back on sometime.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully, maybe in person. I say that every time with the guests because I personally hate virtual, but
yeah,
if that border opens up.
Well, dude, you know, I would love to. I've never been to Canada for sure. So
yeah, you gotta come to Toronto.
Not if, man. When?
There you go. When?
For sure.
Yeah. And to all my listeners, I will see you guys next time.